The Castle Bravo Test, 1954, the unexpected monster bomb. The Castle Bravo test was supposed to be a triumph, America's ultimate hydrogen bomb experiment. But on March 1st, 1954, deep in the Marshall Islands, that experiment turned into a nightmare. Scientists predicted a 6-megaton blast. Instead, the explosion roared to 15 megatons, 1,000 times stronger than Hiroshima. In seconds, the Pacific sky ignited. A fireball 4 miles wide rose, and a mushroom cloud towered more than 130,000 feet high. Then came the fallout. Winds carried radioactive ash across nearby islands, covering villages in white dust that looked like snow. But it was death. Children played in it. Families breathed it in. Miles away, the Japanese fishing boat Lucky Dragon No. 5 was showered in radiation. Its crew burned. 1 man died. The blast poisoned oceans, displaced islanders, and left Bikini Atoll glowing with silence. Castle Bravo was meant to show strength. Instead, it exposed humanity's fear that we had built a weapon we could no longer control. One bomb. One mistake. A warning that still echoes through time. Chernobyl disaster, 1986. When a safety test turned into chaos. It was meant to be a routine safety test, a controlled experiment inside reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, deep in the Soviet Union. But on April 26, 1986, routine became catastrophe. A sudden explosion tore through the reactor, releasing 400 times more radiation than Hiroshima. A glowing fireball lit the night sky. A deadly cloud of radioactive particles spread over Europe. Invisible, unstoppable, lethal. Firefighters rushed in, unaware of the danger. They fought the flames with bare hands, becoming the first victims of radiation sickness. Evacuations followed. But for many it was too late. Villages emptied. Forests died. The land itself became a ghostly wasteland. The Soviet government initially hid the truth, delaying help and exposing millions to invisible poison. The disaster killed dozens instantly and left thousands with lifelong scars, both physical and psychological. Chernobyl was more than an accident. It was a warning. A terrifying lesson in hubris, secrecy, and the power of forces humans cannot control. One reactor, one mistake, an entire world reminded how fragile life really is. The Chernobyl disaster, 1957. The explosion the USSR tried to hide. It was supposed to be a secret no one would notice. Deep inside the Mayak nuclear facility in the Soviet Union, a plutonium waste tank sat quietly until it didn't. On September 29, 1957, the tank exploded with unimaginable force. A radioactive cloud surged into the sky, spreading thousands of square kilometers of poison across the Russian countryside. Villages vanished under invisible contamination. People inhaled radiation they didn't even know existed. The Soviet government did what they always did. They hid the disaster. No alarms, no warnings, no evacuation. For 30 years, the world didn't even know this catastrophe had occurred. Farmers unknowingly worked contaminated land. Children played in invisible dust. Livestock died. Thousands suffered from radiation sickness. Yet the official story remained silent. The Chernobyl disaster is a chilling reminder of the dangers of secrecy and nuclear power. One hidden explosion changed lives, landscapes, and history, without the world ever realizing it, for decades. One tank, one cover-up, a warning that the deadliest disasters are sometimes the ones we never hear about. The Tokamura accident, 1999. Human error turns deadly. It was supposed to be a routine day at a nuclear fuel facility in Tokamura, Japan. Workers followed procedures, handled uranium, and trusted the system. But one mistake would turn ordinary labor into deadly disaster. In September 1999, two workers mixed uranium by hand, a procedure that should have been automated. Suddenly, a criticality accident occurred. A blinding flash of energy filled the room. Invisible radiation surged through the facility. The workers felt nothing at first, but within minutes, their bodies were absorbing massive doses of lethal radiation. They collapsed. Emergency crews arrived, but the damage was done. Despite heroic medical care, both men died from radiation poisoning. Nearby residents were evacuated. Authorities scrambled to contain the contamination, fearing the accident could spread further. The Tokaimura accident wasn't caused by equipment failure or natural disaster. It was a human error with catastrophic consequences, a stark reminder of how fragile nuclear safety can be. One moment of carelessness, two lives lost, a nation shaken, and the world reminded how deadly small mistakes can be around nuclear power. SL-1 reactor explosion, 1961. The only fatal U.S. reactor meltdown. It was supposed to be a routine shutdown at a small experimental reactor in Idaho. The SL-1 reactor had been operating safely until January 3, 1961, when routine turned into horror. A sudden explosion rocked the facility. 3 operators were killed instantly. The force of the blast was unimaginable. One man was impaled on the reactor rod, pinned to the ceiling. Radiation filled the room. Rescue teams struggled to comprehend the scene. It was the only fatal reactor meltdown in U.S. history. The explosion was tiny compared to other nuclear disasters, yet the devastation inside that small building was complete. Investigators later determined human error caused the reactor to go critical too quickly. A small mistake, a moment of miscalculation, and 3 lives were gone. The SL-1 disaster remained largely unknown outside the military for decades, but it left a permanent mark on nuclear safety protocols in the U.S.-1 reactor. Men lost. A chilling reminder that even small nuclear experiments carry enormous risks. The Windscale Fire, 1957. Britain's hidden nuclear nightmare. It started as a routine operation at the Windscale nuclear reactor in northern England. Engineers were producing plutonium for weapons, unaware that small errors were brewing disaster. On October 10, 1957, a fire broke out inside the reactor core. Unlike normal fires, this one burned radioactive graphite, sending a cloud of poison high into the sky. Radioactive contamination spread across northern England, silently seeping into towns, farms, and rivers. Milk, crops, livestock, all exposed. People had no idea they were being poisoned. The government downplayed the event, keeping the truth hidden from the public for decades. Firefighters and engineers risked their lives, entering the glowing, toxic reactor to prevent a full meltdown. Their bravery averted even greater catastrophe, but the incident left a lasting scar on Britain's nuclear history. The Windscale fire was more than an accident. It was a lesson in secrecy, human error, and the hidden dangers of nuclear power. For years, the country lived under a radioactive shadow, unaware of the invisible threat hovering above them. One reactor, one fire. A nation forced to confront the terrifying cost of secrecy and nuclear ambition. Soviet Tsar Bomba, 1961. The world's largest nuclear detonation.
Экипаж одевает защитные очки. Приближается к точке взрыва. Высота 4000 метров. Осталось 3 секунды. 2, 1, 0. Взрыв сопровождался световой вспышкой необычной силы. В этот момент самолет-носитель находился в 40 и последующие свечения, несмотря на сплошную облачность, были видны в радиусе до... Кривой столб, поднимающийся с земли, быстро увеличился в объеме. Через несколько секунд после взрыва диаметр пылевого столба составлял около 10 километров.
Imagine a weapon so powerful, it made everything else look tiny. In October 1961, the Soviet Union detonated the Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear device ever built. It unleashed a staggering 50-megaton explosion, the most powerful man-made blast in history. The fireball stretched over 25 miles wide, and the mushroom cloud soared 40 miles high into the sky. Its shockwaves circled the Earth 3 times, shaking windows thousands of miles away. The explosion was a show of power, a demonstration of human ingenuity and human recklessness. Even the Soviets admitted the bomb was too powerful for combat, a weapon of pure terror. Buildings shattered, ice on lakes cracked, forests were leveled in an instant. The sheer scale of destruction was almost unimaginable. A single mistake could have triggered global catastrophe. The Tsar Bomba wasn't just a weapon, it was a warning to the world, a glimpse at what humanity could unleash when ambition meets nuclear power. One bomb, one explosion, a terrifying reminder that some power is too big to control. The Demon Core. Incidents, 1945 to 46. Death by curiosity. It was a small, unassuming sphere of plutonium, nicknamed the Demon Core. But within that tiny orb lay the power to destroy life. In an instant. In August 1945, scientist Harry Daghlian was performing criticality experiments at Los Alamos. A single misstep, a tungsten brick dropped too close, triggered a nuclear chain reaction. Daghlian tried to shield himself, but the radiation was lethal. He died 25 days later. Less than a year later, in May 1946, Louis Slotin repeated the experiment with the same core. A screwdriver slipped. The core went promptly critical, bathing Slotin in a deadly flash of radiation. He died 9 days later, and the lab was never the same. 2 scientists, 2 tragic deaths, both from curiosity and one tiny volatile piece of plutonium. The Demon Core became a grim lesson in the unseen dangers of nuclear power. Even in the hands of the brightest minds, the line between discovery and disaster was minutes, even seconds, away. One core, 2 lives lost. A chilling reminder of how deadly curiosity can be. Fukushima Daiichi, 2011. Nature meets nuclear. On March 11, 2011, the Earth shook off the coast of Japan. A massive 9.0 magnitude earthquake triggered a tsunami, waves towering over the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. The reactors were designed to withstand disasters. But nature had other plans. Cooling systems failed. 3 reactors overheated and melted down, releasing radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean. Towns were evacuated. Families fled with only what they could carry. Fishermen watched their livelihoods vanish as the ocean became contaminated. The air, the soil, the water, all carried invisible threats that no one could see. The Fukushima disaster wasn't just a nuclear accident. It was a brutal reminder of human vulnerability when technology meets the uncontrollable power of nature. The cleanup continues even today. Decades of work to stabilize what was unleashed in hours. Fukushima forced the world to rethink nuclear safety, emergency planning, and the fragile balance between human ambition and natural forces. 1 earthquake. 1 tsunami. 3 reactors melted. A stark warning that even the most advanced technology can be powerless against nature. The Lost Bombs. Broken Arrow. Incidents. Since the Cold War, the United States has lost track of over 30 nuclear bombs. Weapons so powerful they could level cities, now vanished into oceans, forests, and Arctic ice. Known as broken arrow incidents, these accidents include bombs accidentally dropped from planes, mishandled during transport, or lost in secrecy. Some sank to the bottom of the sea. Others were buried under snow and ice, never to be recovered. Most of the world has never heard of them. Yet each missing bomb carries a terrifying possibility, a hidden disaster waiting silently, capable of destruction beyond imagination. The U.S. government often classified these incidents, keeping the public unaware of the invisible dangers scattered across the globe. Even today, some bombs remain lost under the waves or frozen in the Arctic, a haunting reminder of humanity's nuclear gamble. Broken Arrow is not just history, it's a warning. The most dangerous weapons are sometimes the ones you cannot see, the ones you cannot control, and the ones you may never find. Over 30 bombs lost, countless secrets. One chilling question: could they still be out there, waiting?
If you enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe for the next one.